Prism, and this is for Project 1 Weather V2, and there was a lot of requirements here, so let's already get in. To start us off, again, I'm going to go to platformo.ini, and we're going to be using, again, Arduino JSON, and we're also going to be using the MTPC client for our timestamp. That was also hinted in the actual PDF. So yeah, that's what we're going to be using. Then we have our libraries here, which again, like I said, the Wi-Fi UDP is needed because of our MTPC client, which uses the Wi-Fi UDP. And then after that, we have an enum here, which again, these screens will never change, so we just have a weather screen and zip screen. So it's good to just have those there. And then we change screen to screen state to match its actual enum name, which just makes it easier. It makes it very concise and not confusing because, as you can see, we have over 300 lines here, so it gets super confusing. We have our URL just normally here, our API key, my Wi-Fi network, and password. And then we have our, again, unsigned time variables. Again, can't go lower than 0. That's what we have unsigned there. And then we have our LCD variables. And then the first thing we did is do our Celsius, right, to set true for Celsius, false for Fahrenheit. You just need to set one, the other will be named true, so that's why I did that. And then for zip code, again, that was another thing. These are all variables, so I had to declare my static zip code, which I just used the one that was told to use in the project. And then when you said we had to make an editing one, so I made it a blank string so we could basically type it out later, and we will see that later. Okay, and then I have a timestamp function, same name as the library. And then the Pacific Daylight Zone, which again, it basically just always updates, so it's never behind. And then we store the latest time of the updated weather here, which again, we can leave it an empty store, or I guess it doesn't matter because it's going to update it at any point, right? So then we have our method header declarations. We already did this, which was basically just our call to our server name, but actually we did do a draw zip screen, which again, we're drawing another screen, which is our zip screen, and we have our weather screen, which we already did. Then we set up, we always do our begin, height, pretty simple. We did our Wi-Fi, serial print, initialize, and then this is the other thing, we initialize our NTP client because again, this is for the debug print, just in case we get lost on actually if it's connecting or not, and then obviously begin to initiate that client to connect. And then this is going to be our updating button, and then it's going to again start with the empty zip code, switch to the zip screen, which we have here, and then draw that zip code to the input screen. And then we want to add a delay because again, if you just keep pressing it, it could get overwhelming, just like that acceleration one. Then we have our else if statement here, which again tells us equating to our zip screen. And then adding our buttons like you wanted to be able to input it, and then we'll update to that different zip code, which I will show in a different video because the wire is too small so I can't show it on the video. And then it will actually this will always just check all the buttons to make sure they're the right ones, and then delay. And then here's a back button that also works because we want to get back to our weather screen also, right? The clear and save button were just added as precaution, just in case, for if you mess up or, you need to save you obviously need to save the zip code, right, to have the new one. So that's why those were added. The clear button really didn't need to exist, but I was looking at documentation on this because I got lost a bunch of times. So it's taken me almost 8 hours to complete. And yeah, it looked like the best thing to do was to have a clear button along with a back button, just so it's more concise for the actual person who's using it. And that definitely makes sense. So I did the extra work to just add those, which, I think it just helps learn code better again. Just using our LCD text color, pretty simple stuff here. Nothing too crazy. Then we delayed it, so again, we don't want it like flashing. And then we toggle the temperature on weather screen, and we can also toggle the temperature unit, which also false becomes true and true becomes false. That's if we use it not here. And then it shows that button A was pressed, and then it resets the last time for an immediate update. And then we have our if else statement, which again we went over this. Nothing that was different here is we actually use the API key variable that adds the US code to the actual zip, which again it used to be that URL, right? But now we just do plus string the zip equals instead of q equals, and then plus the actual zip code here, right? And then if we scroll down, we talked about the object response, and then the time client update. The last time format 12 hour. Yep. And then one over here. Yep, that looks good. And then primary text color. Yep. We just made this so we draw the background of what the actual weather is, which we talked about. And then yep, a bunch of LCDs here again. What I mean by that is that I just wanted to make sure we had a color for each thing. So again, it's going to be city name, and then again here we have our actual latest time that was updated to the server, and then when you press it, it just says F or C at the bottom there, so it's a little nicer, right? And then you can draws the actual weather screen information. So just a few little nice things there, so for the user not to be confused about random stuff you can do. This format's a 12-hour because it was in military time, so we needed to format it, which again, I'm not gonna lie, I just looked on Google to see how the math for it, because I did not want to waste time doing the math for this. And so, see, I looked up the equation too because I got confused how to do it. It was like the minute of a 24-hour clock converted back to 12 hours. So you just, again, use the remainder of that, right? And then midnight or noon, not afternoon, because we like it short because we're programmers. And then we format our time using a char variable, and then we format the time with strings leading 0, which equals our printed string format. Draw the weather screen button, which is helpful, and then we also draw our complete zip screen, which was super long. I had to look up Google, a lot of documentation. I even had AI help me a little bit because I was very confused. Draw the 10 number buttons, then draw the back button, and then it's pretty much simple after this draw clear button, draw thing. Again, once you know the number that you're doing, you should be fine. And again, it's usually going to be as kind of the same. You just kind of have to manage your space a bit. And then after that, it just ends the response. Checks if you got an error. We talked about that. And then I think that's about it. Yeah, and as you can see, it's working right here. And then there will be a separate video to demonstrate. There will be a separate video to demonstrate the actual device working on my phone, because again, the cord is too short. But other than that, variables declared, and then they're used, and then there's some content quality of life where I just basically change some equations to just variables, like you showed to do in the snowman. And then and then draw 10 number of buttons and stuff. And again, I did use a little bit of AI to help me, but I did really try to think about most of this and kind of compile it and wrote it on the board, right? And again, just use Boolean variable for Celsius. We programmed the A button, and for the zip code, we basically just used the global zip code that we were told to, and could let us connect to the Open Weather API. And then the timestamp uses the NTP server, which we talked about. Then we converted that 12-hour clock to formatting. And then we did the weather screen. It looked pretty nice on my thing. So I don't think I had to change it too much. I think I just parsed some things, but that's pretty much it. And then, that should be it. I did have some problems with the actual libraries not working. So I was able to fix those, but it did take some time. But overall, I think this was a very helpful and learning project for project 1, and I appreciate it. And there will be a separate video to demonstrate the actual device working. Thank you.